Thanks for joining us here again today with J. Jones Homes. We're going to talk about some of the top mistakes we see some people when they're trying to get a bid on their home and they're using multiple builders to get their bid. One, what we see is a lot of times they don't even have a concept of what amount of money or budget they're wanting to be in. So now they have a plan. They don't even know where they want to be at with their plan, and then they're giving it out to 2 or 3 builders, and they haven't taken the time to sit down and say, hey, I'm going to have hardy siding, or am I going to have vinyl siding? Because there's a big swing in money right there. What kind of flooring do we have? What kind of heating system we have? What kind of faucets?
Painted versus stained cabinet.
Right. There's big time money right there. Are we doing quartz countertop? Are we doing formicas? So a lot of times people don't sit down and do a little bit. If they do a little diligence before they put that out to see their contractors, they will get a more true bid when they get it back. When you go there and guys get talking, we get to talking about, are you doing a zone heating system? I'll say, well, I don't know nothing about that. Well, you've already talked to 2 other guys. They didn't ask you about that? No, they didn't ask you. Well, do you want that? Yeah, I want that. Well, I just added $2,000 to the bid right there. That gets hard because nobody wants to give up a master bedroom. Nobody wants to give up our kitchen. Nobody wants to give up the living room. So nobody wants to give up their garage. So the budget is really key to this whole thing. Where do I want to be at the end of the day? And then we build this house towards that budget. And I think you'll have a lot better experience no matter who you build with. But we want it to be us. You need to sit down and talk. And this kind of goes back to our earlier blog. You really need to choose your builder and create somebody that you really want to feel like you can be with and you can talk with. Because at the end of the day, you can make a lot of mistakes in this and you won't because if you're just looking for the cheapest bid, you might not get a lot of the quality features that are going to make this house livable.
So I think another thing they need to pay attention to is we give you a schedule saying during the framing process, this needs to be done. During foundations, this needs to be done. Where you need to be doing your selections and when it happens while the house is being completed. And as long as you stay on that schedule, it'll be less stressful. And a lot of these things you can go ahead and do ahead of time. You don't have to wait until framing to pick out your cabinets or your lighting or sink. You can go ahead and do it if you have a concept and see your vision already. But always at least stay on schedule, if not ahead of it. Otherwise, you will become stressed with the process. It just makes it easier and more fun doing it that way.
Columbia is a college town and everything revolves around August 1st, and school being out. You need to, if you want to build a custom home, you need to allow probably in the design phase and bidding stage, it's going to take a good solid 2 months, maybe 2.5 months to get all that done. Because depending on how busy our vendors are getting us bids for what you're wanting to put in your house, it could take a few weeks to get, and then put all this together and get our budget so we can build. And typically, you're looking at minimum 6 months, more realistically 8 months on houses to build
once they're started.
So you kind of look where you want to be. Most people have to sell a house, so timely putting your house on the market, that all this stuff coincides. You need to kind of sit and think about, all right, this is when I want to be out of the house. This is when I need to have the house finished. And we also see, a lot of people having a good realtor. Make sure that they get the realtor to get there to see what their house is worth, to get the feedback from their realtor, what they need to have done on their house. Well, one thing we always say, we don't like to take a meeting with potential clients if both people are not present because we need to have everybody on the same page, husband and wife, because A lot of times they come in, they don't even really know what kind of concept or style of home that they want to build. And if you're sitting and talking with just one of them, then they go back and then they're not. It's just, you need to have everybody on the same page, just sitting down. And so,
Even if the elevation style is different, as long as inside the home, as long as they can kind of be on the same page of how many bedrooms they want, how many bathrooms they want, what style of kitchen do they want, the open concept, do they want a closed off kitchen. The two of them at least have had those conversations and maybe looked at some stuff and printed some stuff that we can start there. But not being on the same page as a couple and not coming to the meetings together, it's going to make the project a lot harder because one of you is not going to end up happy at the end of this. It's like we want to we want to build something that you both want. Yeah. So it's like, if you don't have the lot, we got to find the lot. If you don't have the plan, we got to create the plan, and then we got to get it to bid, and that can take a, you know, 2 to 3 months, sometimes quicker. We've seen plans take 6 months to develop and before they finally decide and realize what they want to do, or another month after they get the bid. So the process can take a little bit to get it started, but once it's started, him and his team just move like crazy. And so it's usually like 6 to 8 months. Really big ones, we've done what, a year, couple months, but it's not HGTV. It's real time, so it's like there is processes that happen along the way. But
yeah.
yeah, just know that it's a process, but at the end, you're going to get what you want. And a lot of times we'll give you an allowance for each selection. We'll give you allowance for your kitchen cabinets and your faucets and your lighting. So you kind of have like what your flooring is going to cost. And if we're concerned that maybe somebody's taste might get the best of them, a lot of times I'll go along when they make the selections and remind the vendors like, hey, is this countertop, keep them still in budget so we stay on target, so they don't get disappointed when that bill comes in and says, well, why is it this? So we always make sure that we get everything approved before we order anything, but we kind of try to, once we create that budget and allowance for them, we try to keep them in it the best we can so they're not disappointed and they still get everything they want.
So thank you for joining us and have a good day.